Hey guys, Dozer here bringing you a quick update video. A lot of cards have just dropped for part the Mistveil for a lot of different classes, but since this is a Prism and Illusionist channel in general, I'm going to be really interested in all the new cards for Enigma. So let's get right into looking at some of these new cards and talk about the first thoughts about what they're looking like. So right off the bat, we have Cosmo Scroll of Ancestral Tapestry. It is the new generic Illusionist weapon, so you can use this with any Illusionist in the world. And it lets you say that during your turn, auras you control with ward are weapons with base power equal to their ward and their ward value, and they have once per turn action, pay 1 resource, attack. And your aura attacks that have 1 or more +1 attack counters on them get go again. So this is kind of a really awesome weapon. I was really expecting this weapon to have a 1 cost on it because Enigma, her hero ability lets her first Spectral Shield attack on her turn cost 1 less to activate. And so when you're dealing with ward and like an aura weapon strategy, like Tank Prism used to be, being able to block through your whole hand and still swing something is super important, especially to synergize with Shimmers of Silver and things like that. So the fact that you have the ability to attack with your Spectral Shield for 1 base power for free on your turn with Enigma, and your first one that is, right? And the fact that if it has +1 attack counters, which her hero ability, when you pay Chi, create Spectral Shields with +1 counters, you're going to be able to have a lot of potential attacks that have go again, which is really awesome, really reminiscent of Luminaris, but you don't get them all to attack for free. And so this is a really cool, more balanced way to do an aura ward strategy with weapons. And I'm super excited to be able to use this new weapon and kind of get back into that defensive ward weapon gameplay that I was so fond of with Prism back in the day. Beyond that, the other notable thing about this weapon, besides the fact that anybody can run this that's an Illusionist, is that it gives you base power based on the ward value of the card. And so Spectral Shields have ward 1, but there are some other cards that we're going to see that have higher values of ward that you're going to be able to pitch a resource, swing with them. No Phantasm, love that. No Phantasm in an Illusionist, what a day to be alive. And you're gonna be able to swing for damage, just like if you had a Nothos or a Dawnblade or whatever. So really happy that Illusionist is getting some access to some ways to deal damage that's not Phantasm. Beyond that, we have some commons and stuff that are around. So these are probably just draft equipment. They start face down and you flip them over, pay a resource, and you can get them to stop some damage and shuffle some stuff around. So that's pretty interesting, but I don't think it's really constructed playable. I don't think either of these are going to be. This is a card that you can only activate when you have exactly 1 HP, and that's not good in CC. So we'll just say that these are like draft equipments that are pretty interesting. But so one of the first new cards here is Spectral Manifestations. It is a Illusionist action that costs 2 to play. It's a red card. We don't know if it has other colors yet, but it very well might. It costs 2 as a red and has go again, and says you create a Spectral Shield token. Then if you control no other Illusionist auras, put 3 +1 attack counters onto it. So this card is effectively saying, hey, I've got nothing on my board. I'm going to pay 2 resources and a card to heal 1. That's my ward 1 from the Spectral Shield, and give it +3 power. So when you're using the Cosmo weapon, it's going to have a base power of 1. And so you're creating an Anothos essentially on the board. And then you'll be able to swing with it for free with this card. So you're basically getting to pay 2 resources and a card to swing for 4 and heal 1. And that's not bad for a red card. I mean, that's, if you keep it alive for a turn and swing that shield again with those +1 counters, you're going to be dealing some good damage and some good value. So if you're rebuilding your strategy and you're rebuilding your board, this card's actually pretty decent. But if it comes in other colors, that'll be interesting. But it's notably not going to have synergy with when you're already in the lead. If you already have Spectras on the board, ward auras on the board, anything like that, then you're not going to be able to snowball your advantage by getting more power. So it's a catch-up mechanic that is decent at getting you value rather than being a really strong catch-up mechanic like Awaken was. And then, yeah, so there's that. I'm not super thrilled about that card for Constructed. I think it's interesting potentially, but it blocks 2 and I think it has anti-synergy with itself. So right off the bat, I'm not really loving that card. This is a really interesting card, Haze Shelter. So this is a 2-cost instant aura for Illusionist, Mystic Illusionist, right? And this is a red card version of it, and it probably only comes in 1 color because it says Ward X, where X is 4 if you've pitched a blue card this turn, otherwise X is equal to 1. Maybe this has different values of ward X when it's a different color of this card. It's totally possible, but as it stands, this is an instant that you can play, and if you pitch a blue to play it, you'll have a floating resource and you'll be stopping 4 damage. So it's kind of like a Rise Above, which is not good defensive value, but it also acts as a weapon. So if I play this on my turn with the blue card, I can then attack with it because it's a ward aura, and because its ward value will be a base of 4, I can swing this as an Anothos effectively. And as long as I'm pitching blues on my opponent's turn to activate my effects, it's a Anothos that heals me 4 for 2 cards, which is pretty good. Like, that's not amazing because you have to sync it up with other things. It's not just free value, but it's interesting even if it's not inherently super powerful. But it does seem like something that you can think about including very reasonably constructed. Waxing Spectre is another instant aura for a Mystic Illusionist, and it is a 2-cost red, which says if you pitch a blue this turn, this enters the arena with a +1 attack counter and has ward 3. So right off the bat, this type of card is great because it does work when you are ahead. It doesn't only give you value when you're behind. And so when you play it, if you pitch a blue, it comes in with the +1 counter, and so it's a effectively 4 power weapon because of your Cosmo, and you'll have that one floating to swing it, and you'll be able to attack for 4 damage, again with 2 cards, but it always has that ward 3. So when you're comparing this to the Haze Shelter, it has the same offensive value, but it has a higher floor of defensive value. So Waxing Spectre, I think, is a much better card than Haze Shelter. Generally, like, I don't think Haze Shelter is incentivizing you enough to like have this such a small delta of higher ward value, considering it comes in for like not very much offensive value. I just think this card for the cost compared to Waxing Spectre seems way better to me. That's just first reads though. Waning Vengeance, when this leaves the arena, because okay, before we get ahead of ourselves, this is 1-cost red Mystic Illusionist instant aura that says when this leaves the arena, if you've pitched a blue this turn, create a Spectral Shield token, ward 3. So notably, this is interesting in the sense that if you have this card be destroyed, then it will have its ability, right? So when this is destroyed, essentially, you get Waning Vengeance. Now, notably, it doesn't say when it's destroyed. So if you have it leave the arena through another means, like something like Tranquil Passing, or you could have something like a transformation effect potentially that could trigger this. I don't know, but that is worth keeping in mind to keep an eye out for. And the fact that it's a ward 3, you'd be able to attack with this for 3 damage with your Cosmo by pitching 1 resource. So you're getting, effectively some damage out of this card, some healing. And so if you think about it, actually, this is like a 2-card 6, because if you play this and swing with it, you're getting ward 3 and you're getting 3 damage out of it. So you're healing 3, dealing 3 for 2 cards. That's really good. And then if you break it and have a blue pitch on that turn, you get to heal an extra 1. So, and if you stack this with multiple effects, you're going to definitely be able to get some value out of these types of cards. So Waning Vengeance seems like a great card. And Waxing Spectre similarly, right? This is a 2-card 7 effectively, right? Because you're attacking for 4, blocking for 3. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Whereas this card is like a 2-card like 5, but maybe it's like a 2-card 8. So, interesting there. Love those 2 cards. Those are great. We have a cycle of Waning Vengeance. That's really good to know. That's going to be like a bread and butter, just good card. Some of these are really not new cards. And Astral Etching, though, is a new card. So we have a blue block 3. That's really exciting. And why is it exciting? Well, when it says it's a 1-cost blue Illusionist action, so it's not an aura, but it lets you give a +1 attack counter to any aura with ward you control. So it just lets you, for a blue card, pump something by 1 and give it permanent value, which is really valuable if you can keep that thing alive over time. But if you control Spectral Shield, this is an instant, so it's also like an attack reaction. And it blocks 3. That's so good with our ward strategy. It pitches blue, does everything we want it to do. Costing 1's kind of lame, like that's not good for us. But depending on what equipment we have access to, depending on what we're doing, that could not really matter for us. And so getting the +1 counter value permanently is really, really good. Think about Glisten back in Light Illusionist. You would get 2 +1 counters for the cost of 2 resources on a blue. And so this is basically a 1-cost Glisten blue, which is totally fine. And remember that your +1 counters also give your auras go again. So this helps you create a better board state, and it just seems really good. It really just helps with that aura ward strategy. Essence of Ancestry Mind is another card. So it's blue, 3-block, Illusionist action aura. So this is not a Spectre card because it has ward 2 specifically. It says when this leaves the arena, if you control no illusions auras, the next time you would be dealt damage by a blue source, prevent it. So this is kind of interesting, right? So it is a ward 2 on the blue. So it's effectively a Sigil of Solace that heals you for 1 extra when you play it. It also blocks 3, so it's never like a dead card in your hand. And it's a blue card, so that's already amazing baseline of value. With our normal fab math kind of sniff test, this is already starting at a competitive value with just being a ward 2 card. And then it also has text where when this is destroyed effectively, if you have nothing else, no other illusions auras, you stop the next source of blue damage you would take. So what's interesting about this is that this is only really going to trigger when you're blown through with all your wards. So if you have ward on the board and they kill all your ward because maybe they dominated you or they Murkmire grappled you or something, then this card is going to stop that. It's going to trigger, right? And you're going to get a benefit once they blow through all your wards. So that's really interesting. And it doesn't seem amazing though, because why is like a blue source specifically helping you? If this is a red card, right, and the red card has a higher ward value, like let's say this is a ward 4 red card, 3-block, that's insane actually, because then you play the red, if it comes in red, right, it might not, but if it does come in red, you play it out, it's a ward 4, it attacks for 4 when you pay a resource, so it's an Anothos on the board, it blocks 3, if they destroy it, and or even if it's a ward 2 and it prevents a red source of damage, and that's the only thing that changes, it's still good, because it's a 2-power weapon that prevents you from getting hit by like a red Murkmire grapnel. I guess, well, never mind. You can't prevent it, so that doesn't work. Never mind. Okay, this card, we'll see how good it is. It's not really striking me as very generically useful. It seems to be more of like a draft card or like a tech card. First Tenant of Chi Moon is interesting. It's a mystic action, so not illusionist, but it's a blue 3-block, so it's a good start. And it has go again, which is another good start. And it says the next blue attack this turn gets, when this attacks, draw a card. Now, that should work on any blue ward card that we're playing and attacking with. And so we're able to basically cantrip this card and help turn on our transcending effects. But so maybe not really good for Enigma, but maybe it's worth running. We'll have to end up seeing. I don't think second Tenant of Chi Tide is very good for Enigma, at least. It's it's basically just a Raging Onslaught, which is fine, I guess. Like you play this, you pitch a blue, and then you play a transcend card from your hand for free, and then this turns into just a card. But the problem with that is that if you're transcending after you're playing this, then you're wasting the chi because you don't want to arsenal the chi. So this would be something that you'd play a blue first, transcend, get the chi back, and then play this card. So like maybe you're doing this to like set something up. It just seems like a lot of hoops to go through for a Raging Onslaught. Which, true, like if you pull off the conditions, you're getting a red Raging Onslaught that's also a blue, which is useful, but it just doesn't seem super great for Enigma and Constructed. Now, another Illusionist card. Notably, a lot of these cards are generic Illusionists, so Prism could potentially run these, just for what it's worth. But this is another aura. It has ward 2, and when this enters the arena, if you control no other Illusionist auras, put a +1 counter on this. 2 cost, 3-block, blue. Okay, so this card's kind of weird. It's a 3-power weapon with Cosmo, and if you meet the condition, which is hard to do because you have to be losing, because you have to have no Illusionist auras on the board. That means no tokens, no Spectre shields, no other Spectras, no wards. You're building your board out of nothing, and you play this and attack with it in the same turn, and it deals 3 damage, right? So it's a 2-card 5 blue, which is like Raging Onslaught level. So I guess it's not terrible, and it can have go again if you have no other things on the board. So like best case scenario, it's a 2-card for 5 go again blue, which is fine. But to me, it just seems like not super exciting because it doesn't help you build your board when you're already ahead on everything. It only helps you kind of catch up. Even then, it doesn't help you catch up that much. But it's a 2-card play, and like I said, it's kind of like a blue Raging Onslaught that has go again. So it's not bad, but it's a Raging Onslaught mixed with offensive and defensive value. If you never actually get attacked, then this isn't actually helping you get more damage. So I could definitely see this deck struggling with like fatigue type stuff if you don't set up the proper win con, but we'll see how that actually plays out. Solitary Companion. This is another Illusionist action aura, blue 2-block though, where it says when this enters the arena, if you control no other Illusionist auras, create a Spectral Shield token, aka you have an empty board, you drop this down, you get a free Spectral Shield, whoop-de-doo. Doesn't seem great. It doesn't have go again, so you can't attack with it the turn you play it. I don't think, yeah, this didn't either. So single-minded determination, right? You actually have to, either have extra action points from some other source, or you have to go through some hoops to actually attack this the turn you play it, making it a lot worse. And that's the same thing with Solitary Companion. Yeah, you can play it, get a Spectral Shield. It's a 2-value blue for 0, which is like not terrible, but it's also not good. Think of something like a Searing Shot blue. That card is a 2 conditional 3-value blue 0 cost. So you're comparing it to just like a standard card. It's kind of struggling and it doesn't block well. So Solitary Companion might not be the best card in the list, but it definitely seems like it has some utility as far as just filling out your ward count. Now, Vengeful Apparition is a very exciting card. 0 cost, blue, 3-block, Illusionist action aura. We love all those words together. It's ward 1, so it's not as high as some of the other wards, but it has this really good effect where it says when this leaves the arena, aka when it's destroyed, if you control no other Illusionist auras, or no Illusionist auras in general because it has to be destroyed, you may play your next aura with 0 cost this turn as though it were an instant, and if you do, it gets a +1 counter. So this is like an amazing way to insulate yourself from getting blown out, right? So if you end your turn with this after doing some go again attacks, you drop Vengeful Apparition, you have some extra insulation for your Spectral Shields, you're able to block as well if you needed to keep your stuff alive. And if you get it down, when they do actually break your stuff and you like couldn't block because you have an instance in your hand or because you couldn't block effectively, you can put in and rebuild your board faster. But it only lets you play 1 card from your hand as an instant in that way, so it could be better, but I think it's really exciting, and I'm really excited to use this card and kind of go back into that whole tank prism gameplay style. And yeah, we have some like ninja cards that were spoiled and some assassin cards, but I don't really care about those. So we'll just go ahead and center back on Cosmo here and wrap up. So yeah, Enigma looks super cool. I'm really glad that we're having the Spectral Shield weapon-based gameplay. We're not basing an Illusionist on Phantasm anymore. I'm so thankful for that. I really hate Phantasm. It's a really boring, dumb mechanic, and I feel like it's underexplored, and it could be improved in the future, but Prism throwing Heralds has been interesting, but very swingy, right? Like there's some matchups where you just can't do anything and some matchups where you just run people over, and that's not really that exciting. Whereas having this more methodical board control, value generating, resource management type of game plan is much more appealing to me. And the fact that your cards actually block in this hero so far means that we're not going to have to worry so much about being stuck with a bunch of no blocks, and Ward getting to have more granular uses where you're having not just like only Ward 4 Angels and Spectral Shields on the board with Prism, but the fact that you're able to like Prism Awaken Our Soul, but the fact that Enigma can have multiple different types of Ward to choose which ones die and then get benefits when they pop and synergize with a whole bunch of things. It's super exciting. I'm really looking forward to making more content as we learn more. And I'm also really excited to be sharing my spoiler card with you guys coming up in just a couple of days. So keep an eye out for that when it's coming up. Yeah, all very exciting things. Keep it here for more Illusionist content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.